Yo, what is going on? This is Mills Thursdays, and I will make it quick because I want to introduce the guest. And of course, you're not a YouTuber if you don't say this. Sub, like, comment, and share. And Brandon's gonna share, and he's gonna sub as well if you haven't. But I think you already subbed already because you
Yeah,
support
definitely.
me.
Definitely have to subscribe.
Yeah. So man,
Thank you for that intro, brother. Thank you for that intro.
Yeah. I'm gonna no. I'm gonna say why we gonna talk about this today. I remember putting up an Instagram post on my story, and you're like, "Yo, I went through the same thing." And right now I got Brandon. He's my brother. I met him on set 2 years ago, and we've been cool ever since, man. Cause we're brothers. And yo, Brandon, I don't want to talk too long. Introduce yourself, man. Anything you want to say, anything you want to put out there for yourself, go ahead, man.
Well, thank you. Well, good evening, everyone that's watching this and all the viewers who are listening to us right now. My name is Brandon Ashford. And as Keith said, I met him on set. But to give you a little bit of background about myself, I work in higher education as a diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator at College of the Canyons. And so we have a very, very interesting topic that we're going to talk about today. It has to do with skin complexion, but I just want to give you like a little intro, and I'm gonna stop there because I know we're about to get right on into it. But like you said, I met him on set as well, so I kind of do like the background acting, all that stuff too. But that's more of a side hustle for me. My heart and my passion lies within the work that I do in higher education.
So, yes, sir. And baseball and everything. I know you're a baseball guy.
It was, baseball. That was my first love in life, and that was a past life. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely. My whole world is viewed through like a baseball prism. Like it's like my whole like how I structure the world, how I see it, how I approach it, all stems from some philosophical grounding that I learned playing baseball. So you're right. It is a big part of who I am and my identity and how I approach the world.
Yeah. I'm gonna get straight into it, man. I posted the story up, and basically I said I got made fun of all my life for my skin complexion. And now I'm looking I'm be real. I'm looking at the people now that are my age, and they looking like shit, bro.
I know.
And that's exactly, I'm sorry. That's exactly what I said. Yeah. I got made fun of this and that. And now people are like, what do you do to make your skin look like this? I'm like, look, right. I don't have to do anything. This is me.
Exactly.
So I'm trying to figure out, why is it still a thing, man? Why is it still a thing? Because I got the brunt of the jokes. And it was to the point where I'm like, I used to hate it. And I was even looking at myself. I was like, man, why am I dark skinned? Yeah. I was even questioning, like, man, I'm not appreciative of my melanin, you know? Do you feel me, or is that just me?
It definitely is something where I think it stemmed from the societal standpoint, is the standard in which we've all been sort of like taught that which is the beauty standard, right? Which is, historically has been white, Western European, right? So people like us, when you look at the skin tone complexion spectrum, right, you got pretty much the standard, which is kind of like way over here, and then we kind of like fall pretty much on like the far end of it, right? And like for me personally, I was a homeschool child growing up, right? So just to give you a little bit of background on the context of, my experience, I didn't transition into public school until I got to high school. That's because I had to play baseball. And at that time, there was no baseball in homeschool that can fit my age, bracket, basically.
Right.
And I wasn't really aware of my dark skin until I got to high school, in which, because like the seniors, because they were I would think now, knowing in hindsight, were a little threatened by me. But they called me charcoal, right? And I didn't know how to handle this. One, because as a homeschool child, I never had to deal with it. Two, I kind of understood, I understood enough, like, okay, well, this is a form of bullying, hazing, whatever you want to call it. I took it as hazing. Like, okay, I'm trying to make the baseball team, like with any sports, you know what I'm saying? They got the whole, we're going to separate the men from the boys. Like we hear that talk within the sports realm. So I took it as that. But that was the first time I became conscious of my skin color. And then it was like, I think at the time I didn't really understand because I would get the well, you're pretty handsome for a dark skin, so I heard that a lot, and so I would hear that, and then I would parody it against like what I was hearing on the baseball field from like the guys that were kind of like, excuse me, doing charcoal or whatever, and I kind of looked at it kind of like, well, it was like a side of struggle for me, but then I kind of like was, well, the positive side was like, well, I guess I'm in the cute category when it comes to it, right?
Yeah.
Sort of kind of like is approaching it as like, well, I guess most dark skinned people are ugly, apparently, what the society is telling me. But
Yeah.
apparently, I fall outside that category. So I guess I should just run with that. You know what I'm saying? But not even then. Like I look back on that, and it was just kind of like, and I realized what that kind of like was. We'll call like microaggressions now because I heard it a lot. Like it was like all the time.
Hmm.
Also got compared to like Akon. Like there was only really one dark skinned like famous person. So
Of
anytime
course.
someone had a dark skin joke, it was like either Akon or something else. And then like I played baseball, so I grew up around pretty much. I was like the only black kid on the team, outside of a few other. Like there was one more, and then there was like a white guy, but it was predominantly a Mexican team. And I always get like, if the lights would go out, I'd be like, oh, smile so we can see you. And then it's like,
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
did, like, it's like after a while, you heard the jokes, you heard it over and over that you just had to laugh at it. And then
Yeah.
after, and then like to me, I wasn't even mad at the joke anymore. I was mad that there was no creativity in the jokes anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
y'all are just repeating the same dark jokes over and over again. If you're gonna joke and insult me, at least come up with something creative or something like that. That I can appreciate. But yeah,
Man,
bro.
I'm not even gonna lie. Like I relate to you in so many ways in terms of you playing baseball. I played football in
Mm-hmm.
high school, and it don't matter. Like we would go. So what we say to make fun of somebody, we call it Joan. We'll Joan on other people. We'll go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And all of a sudden, that was my go-to. Of course, when the lights turn off,
Yeah.
smile, we can't see you, Akon, Wesley Snipes. But I'll tell you something that I still remember. So you were homeschooled. I remember when I was 8 years old, one kid in elementary school would tell me that I'm ugly every single day.
Mm.
Literally, he would make sure if he saw me that I was dark
Damn.
and ugly every single day.
Wow.
And I was just like, damn, man, like it really sucked. And I remember just going to my mom and just asking her, like, why is this da da da? She said, no, you're a beautiful
Mm.
black kid. Don't let these people in. And during that time, 3 years later, my mom, passed. So I couldn't find the confidence
Right.
in myself
Right.
with her gone, and so on. I had to learn throughout being older to the point I'm just like, wait, we don't we look the same.
Right.
We're gonna be you. We're at our age group when we're 50. We're gonna look like we're 20.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? I'm being
Hey,
honest. Like,
brother, I'm 32, but I'm like, I remember I was thinking to myself, I can get away with 24 for the next
oh,
at least 8 years. At
if you
least eight
shave, if
years.
you shave, if you shave your
Yeah.
goatee,
Yes.
it's a wrap.
Exactly. So it's
If I shave my
done.
beard,
Done. Done.
that's the only thing. And
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure. And when you one thing that you also said, you said, I've gotten that too, man. Girls come up to me, they're like, well, you look good for a dark skinned guy. Oh, you
Yeah.
look good for an African guy. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like, what do you
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Exactly.
And it's really sad that throughout history, Willie Lynch started all this with that one manual, and
Exactly.
then we're just against one person. It's the light skin or
That's
the
the
dark
dark
skin.
skin.
And it's a shame that, and even still to this day, they still equate the good looks to your skin tone. Now, the smart ones, obviously, they're not going to do that. But
Mm.
even in the
No.
industry,
Yeah. Yeah.
even in the industry,
You see how
they do.
the stigma is kept alive through.
Oh,
Yeah, we joke about it. I hear like, oh, the light skin, dark skin thing, and that really angers me because you're right. Like if you read the Willie Lynch letter, it's like, God damn, we're proving him right, y'all. At the rate that we keep going. I remember I haven't read the full letter in its entirety, But I do remember one expert. I could be paraphrasing, but I think it literally said like if you put the light skinned Negro versus the dark skinned Negro,
Mm-hmm.
eventually they will destroy themselves. Like the
Yes.
whole, like that was like the whole thing. He was like, look, basically he's saying like we don't have to work hard here, guys. We just have to get them to fight each other. You know, let's divide them between their skin complexion, house nigga, field nigga, light skin,
Mm-hmm.
dark skin, whatever. And now I think in today's society we joke with it, and I think it's like, you know, the jokes nowadays will hint that a light skinned dude is a little bit softer than a dark skinned, you know, but he does have the pretty looks or whatever. But then the dark skinned brother is apparently more solid, masculine, however you want to categorize it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like there's times where, you know, and we can do this a whole other time, you know, but we need to deconstruct the Willie Lynch letter and show how we as our people, you know, black people, keep it going. Another thing that I got, and which kept me like was another struggle for me, is like not only was my skin complexion, I was more on the darker side, but then I also was told, you know, because I played baseball and because I was interested in things that were outside of what black people were normally interested in, I got that ridicule of being the whitest black person people know. You know what I'm saying? And it was hard struggling with the fact that, you know, my skin tone is that of a dark skin, and it's like, you
Like
know, that's the thing.
super,
But
like yo,
but
yeah,
people are telling me my being though is that like, oh, you're like the whitest black, and that's all predicated off of what they understand of what, you know, a black male is supposed to be. If he's either supposed to be a hood nigga or he's an Uncle Tom,
what
whatever.
they
They really
see on
don't.
TV.
Yeah, it's like they either try to box us in the either or box. There's really no like in between. Now that's a whole other conversation for a whole other topic. But that was what I was going with too. And you said something interesting, and I make this point as well a lot because as a homeschool child, you know, I didn't really have that experience of like the elementary school playground or the junior high playground. And you know, I think I was saved from a lot of trauma within that time. Well, now that I'm older of and I talk to a lot of, you know, I talk to, you know, working in higher ed, I talk to a lot of students now, you know what I'm saying? And we get into their educational background, and a lot of the barriers and all the stuff and that you see going on in education, you know, especially in higher ed, you know, they all start in the earlier years. You know, we're talking about junior high, high school, all that and
Yeah,
all that good stuff. Um, but yeah, so um, damn, I almost lost my train of thought here. But
you're going
yeah,
going
yeah.
back
So I'm talking
to
about the trauma. I was talking about the
elementary.
trauma. So like,
Yeah.
it was interesting to hear you say how you were dealing with it, like, you know, as a young child in elementary, right, in your formative years. And I really didn't become, you know, I didn't really become cognitive of it until my high school years. But
Mm.
I can see how I think we both dealt to handle it within the same way. Like even though yours you experienced yours earlier, I think those how we reacted to it was very much the same because it was kind of like that. It was just kind of like, well, I guess I'm the like kind of like you said, I guess I'm the cute one, so I guess I'm the outlier. But
Yeah.
I did go through life, and I still do in a way, because of my skin tone. Just accept the fact that there are certain females that won't be attracted to me, right? So like, I just assume because of my dark skin that Asian women aren't attracted to me, like at
It's
all.
and that's a
You know
shame,
what I'm saying?
but
You know
it's
what I
real.
mean? Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's
and
real that it really sucks that you have to think like this. Sorry, I cut you off. I'll
no, it's
say this
good.
one thing real quick
Go
because
ahead.
even I was thinking about it that I don't want to be this type of and for lack of better words, a proper like really proper nigga. When I see white people, I'm like, hey, how you doing? Like some,
Yeah,
what I'm saying, like tap dancing for white people when I see them. But it's like this because I know the stigma that when they see me, they're already scared.
yeah.
I could see it. I've been through that all my life. When they look at me, you could tell they're
Mm-hmm.
nervous, or we get, they get the stories of many dark people that clutch their purses. So,
Yeah.
I have to really be like, hey, how you doing? They don't
Yep.
expect me to
Gotta
say,
smile.
hey, how you doing? Or
Second.
smile or things like that. I just can't believe, I'm sorry to cut you off, but
That's all good.
it just brought me to say that too.
Yeah.
And then certain things going back to your girl, go ahead. Like
No,
girls,
no, 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 no. It's you say that, and I've done the same thing too. You know what I'm saying? Like within my experience playing baseball, I was around majority. I wouldn't say majority white people. It was majority they were non-black, right? I am a umpire now. You know, because if you grow up in a game of baseball, you never leave it. like it's something that's a part of your life for like the rest of your life. So how I stay close to the game is I umpire baseball now, and I do from 5 and 6 year olds all the way up to high school. But I
Mm.
umpire at a league in Simi Valley, which is predominantly white. You know, I'm the only black umpire there. So yeah, I in a way jokingly, but in a serious way, feel that my experience up there, and I've been working there for the last 10 years. I haven't figured. I'm not going to say I figured out, white folks, but I figured out how to speak their language. And so when you talk about that conformity, I feel like I've got like a good frame of reference and how to approach it. And I think it's worked because, and at least for me, because in my work, I work around a lot of white folks, so to speak. You know what I mean? Within the
Yeah.
higher education realm, I'm one of only the few black voices in the room, but they hired me because they want to add more voices to the room. So that's why that's what's credit to them. But I've done the same thing. It doesn't help me personally that I'm 6'3", so it's like you got this 6'3" dark skinned guy. So no
Right.
matter where I walk into, like I'm like I already stand out.
You stand
Then,
up and they look
yeah,
at you.
yeah,
They're
and
like,
then what? Yeah, they're like, oh
"Is
my
he gonna
god,
fight?"
and then it's like it's funny. So I know for a fact, and I do this out of caution, out of safety, that there are certain movements that I can't do, like in public, right? So
Right.
I don't get like rowdy. You know how you see some people like, oh, like I
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
sure, like when I'm in public, there's a lot, especially a lot of white folks around, that I'm very calm. Like I'm not moving erratically. I'm not because if they just get the call angry black man, it's gonna be bad for me. The probability starts to go down. So it's like I have
And
to
the
be
thing
conscious of
is,
that.
we are still ourselves, but we are aware of our
Hmm.
surroundings.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I don't want people when they see this, oh, so, or what, are you conforming to? No, no, no. We're not conforming to anybody. We are aware of our surroundings. You see what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
And it's
There's a
adaptability.
difference.
And it's
The-
adaptability. Like
yes.
I think people need to understand there's a difference between conforming. Like conforming is giving up on all your values, all your experiences, all of everything that kind of like makes you to be something that's not. You know what I'm saying? That's what I see as conformity. Adapting, I believe, it's being able to understand your surroundings, being aware of it, and
Hmm.
understanding like, okay, hey, look, I'm in a situation where the people around me are different than me, right? So they might react differently to me, to my experience, and vice versa. So we've just developed, and I think this is a talent. One, I think this is a skill and it's a talent. I think it needs to be a little bit more glorified, especially within our community. I think we talk about that code switching and we talk about it as if it's bad. But take it from somebody who got their degree in communication studies. I think that's a very powerful tool that we develop simply
Yeah.
because we have to. It's not even like something we have to do, because we want to. It's like out of necessity almost in a way.
Yeah.
So I think people need to understand like being able to adapt to that. Like I take pride in being able to go up to Simi Valley and umpire in a predominantly white area and a predominantly conservative sort of leaning town, right? And be able to engage and have meaningful engagements with. I've developed some of the best relationships out there.
Yeah.
Even though we have, certain differences,
Hmm.
I personally approach the situation like, okay, let me approach it to see if these people, even though we might be different, can add value to my life. And they have, and the people that have added the most value, I've had talks with them, on race issues, and they were not necessarily on my side, but they were more so neutral, and they were kind of like asking certain questions that, in turn, over the years, made me more sharp and articulate in what I'm trying to, in the points that I'm trying to make when it came to
But
certain
what you're
racial issues.
doing
Like
is making them aware of themselves.
exactly,
So
exactly,
that's good. We need people
and
that
we need to
are
have
black
those conversations.
umpires.
Yeah,
There are barely any black umpires. If I watch a baseball game, I don't see that. So
there,
it's
yeah,
good.
there are very few, but you got to understand there's very few black people playing baseball now.
Right.
That's a whole different other conversation because that has
Yeah.
to deal with the fact that they found they found us just in a different region of the world, and they cost a lot cheaper. So
Right. Right.
I don't want to go into that. And no
Right.
disrespect, no
But
disrespect, but that's just what the game is. But yeah, anyway,
I
like you were
will.
saying, go
I'll
ahead.
I'll say this though. Through the time now, we are more appreciated, and that goes just for black. Still, there are definitely some work to do, but specifically dark skin tone.
Mm-hmm.
Now I feel like people are like, okay, we're starting to see because I used to get African booty scratching. I used to
Yeah.
not be proud of where I'm from, which was
Right.
Ghana. Like I thought it was embarrassing to wear the dashikis
Yeah.
and all that. But now, we have people that aren't particularly born in Ghana, but I obviously have roots from maybe Ghana, Nigeria, and they're embracing that. They're embracing the dark skin tone. It's not a bad thing as it once was what they thought back then. So I can say that for now. And even light skinned people, as well. Because I know they got brunt of jokes too. We both did, but that just goes back to what we're saying about the Willie Lynch fighting against each other and tearing us down. We still have work to do, but we're getting there. We're
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
man.
We do. And I think that's all. I mean, I think indicative into what America has gone through in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I think when you parody, our last president versus the Obama years, and I always maintain this sort of position, even in the beginning, that I think a lot of us, with the election of Obama, sort of gotten this complacent, thought we was in a post-racial America, and the the last 4 years, given the last president that we had, I think exposed something in America from our past sins that we have not healed from the simple fact we've been running from it. And
Mm.
I think that has caused, I think, our community to wake up, and a lot of other oppressed communities as well. And so I think you're starting to see this sort of collectivist action amongst these oppressed groups, to where now I think we're coming together more. So I think we're starting to get it more, be like, okay, light skin or dark skin, we still brothers. You
Yeah,
know
it
what I'm
doesn't
saying?
matter.
So it don't matter.
Come
So
on.
they coming after all of us, in the end, what I mean? For those who don't, who don't appreciate our experience. But yeah, I think we are getting past. I personally, going back to earlier conversations, just to put a more positive light, I'm so
Yeah.
past all of that, like all of what I went through in high school now, that
Yeah.
it's like it's funny to me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
The
Like,
same. I was just about to
yeah,
say that. Yeah. People,
it's
we
like
joke around. It doesn't even matter like that. And I look back at it. I'm just like, why did I stress so much about it? You know why? Because I wasn't doing my studies. Obviously, I knew about the Black history, but rest in peace to my professor. He was
mhm,
my economics professor, Dr. Ferdinand.
mhm,
He really woke me up to who I am as a Black person. And once I knew that, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the research. I'm going to do all the history because I live in Virginia. That's a
yeah,
Confederate state.
yeah.
The
That's
history
one of
books
the
are
one of the
altered.
beginnings.
The
Yeah,
history books are altered. They don't call them slaves,
yeah.
So
Voluntary servitude. What do they say?
all of that. I
Yeah.
even to this day, it's still like that. And they obviously, even in the news now, they're trying not to teach us the real history. They're having
Yeah, but
problems with that.
people can try to change the language within history books. Um,
Right.
in the age of information, the information is out there, and you're not going
Mm-hmm.
to, as much as I feel like there is this sort of movement on the other side to sort of like cover up racism or totally eradicate it because people don't want to talk about it because it exposes some of America's worst sins. I just think at the like you're not going to hide slavery. You can call it what you want. We know the history of this country. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of what you want to say, the innocent blood of African Americans rests in this soil. You're not going to get around that.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? No matter what you're going to do. And I think there, I know we see a lot of that as sort of like especially within our media sort of environment. You know what I mean? And our political climate has been tumultuous for the last 5 years or so. And if you go back, I'm reading Obama's book, The Promised Land now, and he's bringing up points where like a lot of this was actually brewing, in the earlier 2000s. You know what I'm saying? In the 2006, I would say right around his election, after he got elected, it really started to see. I mean, that's when the Tea Party started, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of other conservative political movements took off
Started
during his
growing.
presidency. That I think sort of hit its pinnacle when the last administration was
Yeah.
in. But
For sure. For sure.
yeah, I do think, even despite all of that, like we were saying earlier in our conversations, like I do think we're getting past it.
Yeah. We
I
are.
think people now are educated. I think the power of technology now, and I think I mean, there are certain criticisms I have with social media activism, but one of its strengths is it does bring awareness to a lot of issues very, very quickly. In terms of like what we can do about it, I think it's a little bit more difficult in how we go about it. However, you know, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who are being brought to the attention through memes or through sharing these stories on Instagram or through these polls or whatever they make now. I don't use this platform, but apparently, TikTok does reach a lot of people.
It does. Yeah.
I personally, I don't really use it because I really like it, but I do think it's a powerful tool and a powerful mechanism. And
Shit,
a lot of
TikTok's
these,
another story, man.
yeah,
They don't really compensate the black TikTokers. You know,
that's
most
yeah,
yeah, they don't do
that's
that at
not.
all.
I mean, the systematic. Going back to our point about we have a lot of work to do. This is just indicative of that. And I also think though, for a lot of us, like, I do a lot of DEI work, which has been, I've developed a passion for it over the last year since I've been involved in it. And one of the things that I think I take pride in is helping students of color, but more specifically Black students, see the value of higher education. And I think you hit on that point earlier when you said that my professor, the one that, rest in peace, the one that passed away. I
Yeah.
think he helped you. You got the value out of higher education because he opened up your eyes to certain ideas, just about the world, to give you ways to approach it. Just to give you a little example, for the longest time in high school as a homeschool child, coming into the public school realm, I never ever the whole 4 years really felt like I truly fit in, but I learned how to really blend in,
Mm.
and so even though I was having these thoughts and these perceptions about myself, I kind of quickly realized like the people around me aren't thinking the same things about me the way I am. I think that made it a little bit easier as I got older. But for the whole 4 years, quietly, internally, I thought I was just weird kid who just, because I was noticing social phenomena. I was noticing how certain people would act different when certain people would come around. I was noticing, like,
Mm.
I would just notice these behaviors, and I was
Mm.
seeing them. I was seeing these social behaviors, but I didn't know what to call
No,
it. So I
and
thought I
it's
was,
crazy. That's a very interesting take that you have because
yeah.
you were older
Mm-hmm.
and you're seeing the social structure.
Well, I had to
And
watch. I started
right,
to
yeah, and
watch.
you're watching. You're just like, wow,
Yeah.
and
But I
you're just.
started to watch because I felt like I was out of place. You
I
know what I'm
mean,
saying?
let's think about it.
Mhm.
You were homeschooled all your life, and
Yeah.
you're seeing a bunch of cliques, and you didn't come up from the elementary school system because with elementary, it starts from there, or even
Mhm.
kindergarten per se. You could hang around with 3, 4 people, and that could be your group. That same kindergarten group can last all the way to damn high school. You see what I'm saying? So when you come in there to that new social platform, you're like, what the hell is going on? I see a black
Yeah.
group. I see black groups of smart people or a
Yeah.
technology group. I see white people. I see the preps. I see Spanish people. We're like, what the hell? I don't know what the heck is going on. Hey, let me go over there and say hi. Oh, they don't like me. Or yeah, okay, I guess hi. And I don't. That's a wow.
Yeah.
And
It was.
you're
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was difficult. But I will say this: one, I had baseball, and so
mm-hmm,
that's where a lot of my identity existed. Right. So
mm-hmm,
at the end of the day, I was there to play baseball. I didn't really
yeah,
care about I mean, I knew some people from the baseball field because some of the people I played with were going to the same school. But yeah, you're right. It was like I noticed certain, like for instance, one of the first lessons that I learned is that word travels faster in public school. So I remember having this conversation, I think in first period, and I never forget it because like it was the first time, it was like that game where people would send them like that game of phone or whatever they call it, where they have everybody in a circle and they send a message. They're supposed to pass the message down, but by the time it gets like halfway, the thing is all convoluted or whatever. So I
mm-hmm,
remember having this conversation with a friend in first period, and I think I was talking about I liked her friend or something like that. And I
yeah,
mentioned something about liking her to the girl that I was like, we were, I think, talking on AIM actually on the computer, which is weird, right next to me. And then somehow or another, the message got convoluted, and somebody was saying that I was saying that the girl that I liked was my girl, and I was my boo, and like we were going out, and that was like far from anything that I said. And so then like her cousin finds out, and her cousin like banged on me like in between periods, like was saying this
Yo.
crazy shit. And I was just like, what the fuck? She's like, yeah, Brandon, I heard you was talking about such and such as your boo and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm sitting here tripping like, what the no, I said nothing like that.
Nah, man.
You
Yeah,
know,
but
and she was
yup.
going off. And I remember
Yup.
just being like, okay, these motherfuckers in public school talk a lot. So clearly I need to shut up. Like I was like, I need to be very
You gotta be careful.
careful about what I say and who I
You gotta
say
be
it to.
careful.
You know what I'm saying? And this was like freshman year. And then like as I think what helped, like freshman year, I remember just kind of like being like, oh my gosh, I was just kind of like, you're right. I was trying everything. I was like, oh, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. That's not working. Okay, that's not working. But I think what helped me personally was one, I did meet a few people. I think my homie's name was Keith. I think he was my first friend.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah, his name was Keith. Now that I think about it, and he was like one of the first friends because I was wearing these Jordans. And he was like, "Hey man, I like them Jordans." And we got to talking, and I was telling him like, that I played baseball. I lived down the street, and I was coming out of homeschool. And he was, I remember him just being very sympathetic to that. Like, oh, he's like, oh man, I'll show you, introduce you to some people, and he really was like he showed me like a few people around. He was like one of the first people, kind of like if I saw him, I was like, oh, that's somebody I can go talk to. So that helped, but I did make a lot of like, I didn't really figure things out socially, I think until about like middle sophomore year.
Yeah.
Like I got pulled up to, and what helped is I got pulled up to varsity. So that really was like, that's when the jokes, when the dark skin jokes started to stop.
Yeah. The respect.
The respect started to come up, and like, I think the seniors sort of respected that fact. Like when you're a sophomore on varsity at Kennedy baseball at the time, that was about as best as it can be. Like you weren't going to play. No freshman ever played varsity. That just was his rule. So if you were that talented by 10th grade year, you would be on a varsity team, which I made. So that helped alleviate. But throughout high school, I still had these questions, and they weren't answered until I took sociology 101.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah.
If we could just go back, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Life is life. I'm happy for whatever happened. But if we could just go back with the mindset that we have now, we would attack so many things. But it's good because we, in lack of better words, we are the sacrificial lamb for the youth today. So you teach the youth, as you're doing right now, speak to the youth so they can attack those certain questions so they don't have to question themselves or have a lack of confidence, and do whatever you want to do and be confident in yourself, be confident in your skin specifically. And let me go to this before we sign off. Obviously, there's still self-hate. In particular, I'm actually going to read this to you. So, Safari, right?
Yeah, I know Safari.
So, news literally came out that he tweeted he's starting to bleach his skin. And these are the people that we need to talk to early, because I know people in my family, I know people, especially in the Caribbeans, is popular. In Africa is popular. I'm pretty sure in here it's popular, but it's more open, especially, the continent of Africa and the Caribbean islands, that a lot of people do bleach. And Safari is Jamaican, and he's saying he's on a pathway to bleach. That self-hate, that actually hurts me, man. It's sad that he's still going through it at his age, to the point where he has to alter his skin to feel accepted, not only to others, but himself. And that when you really think about it, that actually hurts, and it takes somebody to tell you that, or self-knowledge to tell yourself, or somebody to tell you like, hey, stop what you're doing. Like, you're fine. Don't worry about what the world says about you. Just go out there and do what you're supposed to do. No matter if they joke or not, just go out there. Why are you bleaching? Why? Brandon, what do you have to say about that? I'm hurt. So
it's sort of interesting. Like I have a couple thoughts on it. One, in terms of self-hate, I think we have to accept that self-hate is always going to exist. And I don't think there's really not much we can do to sort of like completely eradicate it. I'm not saying that we shouldn't fight against it, but I think for certain individuals, um, they're gonna harbor certain feelings about themselves, and they're just gonna like that's just going to exist.
Mm.
Um, I you know the first time I don't think the first time that I've dealt with the whole bleaching thing, but I remember there's been a few cases. But I know for me the one that sticks out is Sammy Sosa because
Oh man.
Sammy Sosa I think was one of the
Oh
first
my.
people. I think
Yo.
Sammy Sosa was one of the first people to like really. And what's interesting is I'm watching 30 for 30 the other day, and I'm watching as a baseball fan growing up, like they were going over that year when Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa were chasing the home run record. And I remember being
One of the greatest
yeah,
seasons in
and I
baseball.
remember being like I think I was like around 11 or it was 2001. So I was like around 11 or 12 and
Yep.
I'm getting ready to go to high school and I remember
Hmm.
watching these guys and thinking like, wow, if I ever want to be that good, I got to make it to the bigs. But I always say that because it's funny, like we're watching old highlights of Sammy Sosa and he's like a few shades off from us.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to him now, and the man looks like somebody took white paint and painted over the black skin with no primer on him. I'm just like, damn, so I'm sitting there, and I just think I was kind of like, oh man, that's crazy. But in terms of bleaching their skin, I think there's just that phenomenon is just gonna happen, and I think
Yeah.
if we try to go out there and fight against it, I didn't mean I sympathize with you being hurt, but at the same time, one, I've never really seen Safari as like the brightest tool in the shed. Yes, he's famous for being whatever that he was, so he's a brother with success. So I ain't gonna knock him. But
Right.
I don't think you know I don't think society is looking to take their lead from Safari. You know what I mean? So
Like
and
who
then
cares,
I
bro?
think, yeah, and I think some of them, and I think you're seeing a lot of, and what's funny to me is like, I don't really hear that amongst normal people. You know what I mean? Like the people that I talk to, I've never come in contact with somebody who's having issues about their skin complexion and says like, you know what, I've thought about bleaching. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like even like
Yeah.
through my struggles, bleaching my skin never crossed my mind.
Never.
Like
Never.
ever. So I just think that phenomenon is always going to happen. I think the better we can advocate, sort of tear down these sort of stigmas and these sort of like standards in which we think, beauty is, the beauty standards.
He
I
wanted
think
to
we
be
should.
socially accepted. That's all it is. He's
I
like,
mean,
look,
like, I socially accepted from who though? You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
don't know.
who?
I guess he wanted the privilege, So
And then my thing is like, like you're a celebrity, bro. There's thousands of hours of footage of you, you know. You're
hey,
not gonna do that, and people are gonna just turn around and be
but let me
like,
tell you,
"Oh, Safari," you know.
the privilege of black celebrity here, the privilege of white celebrity here. He wanted
Yeah,
this.
but I mean, I don't think bleaching your skin is
I
going to
know,
get you there. So,
but
so like I said, it's a
I
personal
know, yeah,
decision.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
It's a
I'm with
personal
you on
decision.
that.
It's a personal decision he wants to do. I mean, let's be honest. We're comfortable in our dark skin. We have grown to a place mentally and socially where we are like we love our skin tone.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, not everyone has that, and it
right.
seems like guys like Safari, Sammy Sosa, didn't Little Kim do the same thing? Little Kim has bleached her skin too.
So
Unfortunately,
allegedly,
yeah, unfortunately they didn't get there or they fell victim to the stigmas, and you're always going to have some casualties in the fight for change. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And like I
yeah.
said, like I don't think if Obama came out tomorrow and said he was bleaching his skin, then I would be like, okay, we need to we're in trouble here. You know what I'm saying? Then we need to if the prominent figure started to come out, then I would be like, yeah, there's something going on. This is a real like eradication. But for the most part, like I said, you can bleach your skin, but it's not gonna change your genes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's one he gets a black woman pregnant. That
he
baby
gonna
is
come
coming
out
out with
black.
chocolate. Yeah, he's
Baby
coming out with
going,
chocolate skin.
baby gonna come out black.
So it's I guess to each his own. It's on
Yeah,
that one.
Brandon, my dog.
Brother, we gotta do this again.
We gotta do it
We
again, man.
gotta
We
do
said
it. We
some
gotta do more. Yeah.
real stuff, man. No, we're we're gonna do this again, man. This
I
is a
can do this all
great,
day.
yeah, great episode. This is I forgot to even introduce it. This is Chopping It Up, episode 4. So what I usually do, I bring like-minded people like you, Brandon, intelligent people, and just we talk about the background, or we talk about a certain subject like we did with this one, have in-depth conversation. So this is episode 4. I appreciate it. Brandon, do you want any social media platforms out there for you if anybody wants to reach out to you?
You can reach out to me on Instagram at Brandon Hayes 818, BRANDON HAZE 818. That's the best way to get in contact with me. But brother, if you want to have this discussion again, part of my job is pushing discussions, and I do like speaking about these ideas. I think I read in a book once that ideas are the currency of the 21st century. And I think when you look at that, it's kind of like true, with all the tools and technology that we have, the transferring of ideas, being able to talk about certain ideas. I think one is just something that I live for, and the exploration of ideas. And so anytime you want to have any, any talk, I'm always down.
Just imagine if we had the internet at 8 years old.
Oh yeah, well, 8-year-old me didn't sound like this though. You know what I'm saying? This is the finished product of college,
right.
living overseas. You know what I'm saying? Making a ton of mistakes in my 20s, starting my career in my 30s. You know what I mean? So
yeah, man.
But personal development is something I think we should all strive for, and that's what got me here today. That's what got you where you are right now. And
brother, you're doing a real thing with the youth as well. So that's
it. Trying to have an impact. I'm trying to have an impact wherever I can. You
already do, man. Yeah. You're already making an impact with them, man. Brandon,
that, brother.
Thank you so much. We will do this again. I'll probably hit you up. Hey, you want to talk about this, and we can have. We
need to come in. Combo. I got a mic, and we need to come in studio and do.
We could do a studio.
And we could. I know we could. Listen, we scheduled. Remember when you said 20 minutes? We've been talking about it for 40. It's been 45.
Yeah, it's 40 minutes right now.
Honestly, I didn't even really go into we could have gone into a lot of other things and a lot of other depths. You know what I'm saying? Could have been talking for a good another 45. But like I said, we'll save that for the episode. COVID's over. How about to say COVID's over, so we can be in the same room together. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It was good talking to you, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. And for everybody, make sure to sub again, comment below your thoughts, man. What'd you think about this episode? What'd you think about Brandon? Because he will be back on this platform. Yes, you never know what's going to happen. Anybody can be invited. Brandon, thank you so much.
Appreciate you, brother.
Let's go.
Love and peace.
Yes, sir.